This is the end.
All the games presented today are AAA quality titles that, for one reason or another, have shied away from the character of Soulcalibur as a franchise. Try not to have a tantrum in the comments section. This is the second game I missed on release, but getting the chance to play it years later has given me some perspective on this game. Soulcalibur 3 is an interesting beast. I'm convinced that kids who played the second and third in succession will like this game better. It absolutely dominates the single-player content. The roster expands immensely while retaining previous cast members, and they don't have any bombastic guest character to overshadow the main cast. In fact, I feel somewhat bad that this game is included in the Fall of Soulcalibur video, but it is part of that tradition for some key reasons. But let's talk about the good. If you gave me this as a kid, I would have sunk 300 hours easy. First of all, every character has a story mode. Given the mode gets repetitive, but every character gets an ending cutscene. They've included extremely short-lived QuickTime events, and that I have some trouble understanding, but their mere existence is a blessing for those people who are into the lore. They have Create a Soul, the franchise's first inclusion of a character creator mode. I would have been so into this when I was younger. Hell, I filled up all 50 of my character creation slots in the fourth game at 17. The options are kind of limited, but for a first-time thing and jumping from the second game, it's a massive step towards a player-tailored experience. Topping that off is the Weapon Master replacement, Chronicles of the Sword, where your own created characters can battle in this somewhat strange real-time strategy thing, but most of that doesn't matter because it's easy and the combat is frequent. I only played a bit, and I would have loved to beat the whole thing if I had no responsibilities again. It was a brief distraction, but the Soul Arena with its cavalcade of extra battles and scenarios was super interesting and even hilarious. I had a great time here as well. Factor all of that stuff in with the standard practice, arcade, versus, and gallery options, and the game is absolutely jam-packed with content. I genuinely felt like I was transported to an earlier time when games were just games and games were fun. So why is the game in this video? Soulcalibur 3 is this really weird blending of the second and fourth games. A lot of the movesets were altered or swapped around. In particular, they just... like, what they did to you, Raphael, I will never understand. What is this vampire shit? This game started the complication of combos and the punishment of free movement. See, in Soulcalibur and its sequel, you could step guard, which was technically a bug, but also allowed movement to blossom. It makes some characters that would otherwise be complete trash mildly better. You want to move in Soulcalibur 3? I hope you're committed to losing half your life bar from a double over stun combo. This just didn't happen in the previous game. Walking around is actually dangerous. A mere direction on a controller can get you killed, so freedom, at least against good players, is out the window. It's not much, but it's not Soulcalibur. The balancing really sucked. This game had a more balanced, bug-fixed arcade version that came out after the console release, so they already lost competitive scene momentum. The game is utterly riddled with glitches that any player can abuse. Let's see. Variable cancel is the main contributor, which lets some moves be canceled in one frame, eliminating attack recovery time. It lets back throws be released with the animation playing out regardless. Unlike 2G in the previous game, which let you guard after being guard impacted among other things, variable cancel lets you cancel the effects of being impacted, and the canceller is now in a state of advantage, where they can punish the opponent for playing Soulcalibur correctly. Add to that a ton of random bugs found in the archives of YouTube, and it's clear this game isn't viable for competitive play in its console state. The game's fun, but at a casual level. And maybe that's not a big deal, but for relevancy's sake, all fighting games want that sweet esports cash and free promotion. This game kinda shot Soulcalibur in the foot in that regard. It was bugged long before it was a viable game, unlike Tekken. All that aside, I have a personal complaint. This is the beginning of a shift in visual design for the franchise. It's subtle. Okay, no, it's not. Yes, okay, Soulcalibur has always had Ivy and Valdo and ridiculous, grandiose moves and heavily suggestive character design. Yeah, that's a given, but the general art direction of Soulcalibur has been pretty tame up until now. Dull, ruined cathedrals, semi-historical realism with some of the locations, weapons, and general character design. But with Soulcalibur 3, design has jumped the shark. The levels are either realistic, fantasy, or fantastical historical. They look really good, but they're getting a little Anime? Who's that on the box art? Oh yeah, just your average time-traveling infinite being concerned with the balance of the world wielding a scythe. Really contrasts the Korean swordsman and the Japanese samurai and the French fencer, who is now a vampire protecting a small Lolita-designed girl. And Astaroth is red now? Or oh! Who's this? Soulcalibur 3 decided that to fully embrace anime tropes and imbecility as opposed to measured and controlled camp, they needed to put fucking Harley Quinn in the game. This is a call-out, Tira players. She looks like a
fun and well-designed character
and has the distinct pleasure of being one of the major contributors of the integrity of the world from this installment onward. At least Valdo shut his Rudy Toot-Tootin' mouth.
Aw, you broke already. Oh well, I guess I'm done with you.
Oh look, that game I put too many hours into for no good reason.
KBash is unfair. KBash is biased. KBash just wants to smear everything like my favorite game, Golden Sun.
I played this game for 300 hours as a teenager. I climbed to the top 1,000 online, which means nothing, except that I was dedicated to the game. I filled up all 50 character creation slots and unlocked every achievement for this game. This game sucks. Maybe it was a new direction thing, or a last-ditch effort to change the gameplay in a way that was more acceptable for traditional fighting game fans or something. But playing this game again, it's a fucking travesty. I will say at least that Soulcalibur IV is beautiful. I mean, Too Human came out when this game did, you know? These light effects, the constant 60 FPS, the designs. Okay, I'll be the first to admit, the animization of Soulcalibur is something I'm critical of, but Soulcalibur IV just looked so neat. Yun Sung looks better than ever, at least by my count. Zaslomo looks like the friggin' Pope, and Siegfried is made of crystals. Nice. In fact, while saturated environments exist, the game has this pale light cast over a lot of it that's slightly reminiscent of the first game, or Smash Bros. Brawl, but really, it evokes the idea of epic, which is not how the gameplay feels. I'm sorry, did I ask to move around like a limping, sickly wildebeest? It's so slow. I think they might have cut the move speed in half in this game. It sucks. And if you remember the combo and movement problem in Soulcalibur 3, try compounding those with how slow you walk. What does that mean for Soulcalibur gameplay? Nobody moves anywhere. Stepping is all you've got, because a lot of verticals don't track. But competitive play, sadly, often devolves to players running up to each other's faces and blocking. It's pathetic. This isn't Soulcalibur. This is lumpy sandbag staring contest bullshit. It's kind of hard to explain the general game feel, but Soulcalibur 1, 2, and 3 all kind of feel similar. This game feels legitimately nothing like the past game. Yeah, horizontal, vertical attacks, kicks, throws, and guarding are still there. Guard impact is still there, though this and the last game did this just guard impact thing where if you did the impact just before you got hit, it'd be red and give bonus advantage frames. It doesn't impact gameplay immensely. But the main gameplay ruiner is the perpetuation of long combo strings. Given most strings, once memorized, are in your arsenal, and you're good to fumble around the stage like a great jello. But the casual players I would kill online had no idea you could shake out of stuns, so every character has combos involving stunning players multiple times, and you can do some huge damage if the player fails to shake out. You have a fraction of a second to do it, or else you're eating big damage. Have fun, hombre. Also, there's an armor breaking thing that barely matters, and an instant kill mechanic that most players will never see unless they play Yun Sung. They're alright, except not really. I mean, they're mostly just completely batshit fucking insane. Soulcalibur 4 has hardly any good single-player content to speak of. Create a Soul is there, and that's good. Alright, auto-generating and there he is! To unlock the parts, you'll have to delve this tower's depths, completing specific tasks in each round to get parts. These get immensely difficult. I recommend Astaroth spam when you can get it. And did I mention this mode is tied to item powers? Yeah, item powers, because you get stats and bonuses for different equipment. I'm not even getting into this. Enjoy unlocking all the stuff after a good couple of days of screwing around with different combinations. Also, you better be a god with at least 2 characters. Story mode is bland, but it does have endings. Unlike the third game, there are no choices involved, so it gets really old really fast. I found my eyes drooping through every second of it. It's alright, Xbox Live Play exists, and I can tell you from experience that it was either fine or laggy, and that's about it. Probably should have made it so you can earn Create a Soul items through online, you know, ease the casuals in with an actual reward. Oh sorry, the elephant in the room. You want me to address the old elephant in the room?
They only wanted to bring a new audience to the game.
People have said it before, so I'll say it again. These characters don't belong. What a completely inappropriate crossover. Like, even Link had the decency to stay fantasy themed. Not to mention, this character is high tier bullshit. Yoda can't be grabbed in Duck's most horizontals, and this idiot is DLC for the Xbox version. So, get the fuck up on out of here! Oh, but we're not done. See, someone paid 5 artists to design characters for this game, so we get Shura, sure, Scheherazade, Elf Ears, Kamakiri, what the fuck? Ashlot, but arms, and Angolfear. That's an anime character. This is an anime character. See, I told you! What about Soulcalibur IV competitive? The 2 new characters, Hilda and Algol, had inescapable ring-out combos and infinite combos respectively. Imagine a corporate bigwig asked the design team how to spice up Soulcalibur the franchise, since, you know, numbers have been going down. Presumably, the answers were something like, well, Soulcalibur doesn't have enough height. Sometimes the kills are just little low attacks after a long round. Ugh. So they put a meter at the top. They've jumped the shark twice now, once in design and second in gameplay. This is officially not Soulcalibur, but SC Mark II 20XX edition. The game was hyped up a good bit online and it suffers from mediocre sales. Let's look at the product. First of all, again, game's beautiful. Second, the online was good and playable. Third, Create a Soul is back, and still good, especially the part where you can make giant
PPs
on the characters with some clever manipulation. Fourth, everything else is bad. Where to start? The roster's probably the most important. I don't know what you were thinking, designers, when you removed Yun Sung, Sung Mina, Talum, and Zaslamel entirely, and made a cheap remade version of Taki, Keelix, Sophitia, and Cassandra. But it was a bad idea. You don't make a franchise that sells characters to people because people get attached to characters, and then take away those characters. I mained Shiba because he's the closest thing to Yun Sung in this game. This character is fun to play and has an interesting and flashy moveset, and he's so goddamn stupid, I think I'd block from my brain the part where he screams feet when attacking his opponent's feet, food when he dies, and that shit about steam buns. Stop deliberately disrespecting your fans and intellectual property. It's just bad business. More insulting to Keelik and Sophitia fans is their inclusion as the random characters, meaning both will have a randomly selected weapon each round, so that's fun. Zwei is a horrible name for a newcomer, and he has a werewolf thing. Like, somebody wake me up. When exactly did this game become an anime? Last time I checked, that Soulcalibur IV stuff wasn't canon. Viola was busted and you know it. Stop including puppet characters. This is a weapon fighter. Alright, Ezio's in this game. While it's debatable whether Assassin's Creed is a great choice given the franchise's difference from, you know, actual fighting games, he feels amazing in this game. He's weighty, he's impactful, he's true to the spirit of the character. Now, if only they put that same love into an original character so that we didn't end up with Zwei. Patroclus and Pyrrha are the focus of the new story mode. Pyrrha is a stupid anime archetype of a helpless girl. Patroclus is a lawful stupid paladin who screams justice every 5 seconds.
I will show you the price of justice!
It's so putrid I want to vomit. Thankfully, Tira figures strongly into the narrative as well. Note that Patroclus and Pyrrha both have a super anime form, or rather alpha and omega form, where they basically invalidate the importance of Nightmare and Siegfried in the narrative, and it's some stupid weeb shit. The other single player modes are unimportant or uninteresting or completely frustrating, like this Legendary Souls mode, where you bang your head against a wall for 50 minutes fighting Edgemaster. This is legitimately harder than Dark Souls. Fight me, I dare you. The game is balanced within reason, but tournament results kind of point to a general imbalance or apathy for the game, which makes sense. The mechanics are no longer equal, and some characters are severely lacking in tools. Movement is good, it's better than Soulcalibur IV by a good margin, but it still feels restricted. Maybe it's the combo length problem which this series retains. In short, in a lot of games, people are just gonna run up and stare at each other. It's not dynamic, I guess. The critical gauge at the top now stores power and lets you do a Brave Edge, which basically extends an attack for some meter. Critical Edge, which is a flashy super move that shouldn't exist, or should. I guess people use them willy-nilly and eat shit for it. Or they, you know, can feel like you just lose a ton of HP for free sometimes. And Guard Impact. Guard Impact is tied to the meter now. What's next? You gonna tie 8-way run to the meter, Soulcalibur? Is that next? The game didn't go over well, and it's not hard to see why. They attacked 3 major selling points of their game: good characters, simple mechanics, and interesting single-player content. Not to mention the hype man they hired for that one tournament is just, like, goddamn, is he ever getting paid to be there?
Everybody, give it up! Guys, let's give it up for France!
Soul Calibur 6 has a monumental task placed on its shoulders. The creators have, for the second time if memory serves, threatened to end the franchise if sales are poor. Well, some preventative steps could have been taken, but now that we're here, let's see. Number one, you need to sell your franchise. Geralt is a good guest, sure, but make sure your characters are interesting, digestible, playable, and endearing. Yoon Sung spoke to me when I was young because of his personal reflection storyline and wanting to find out the truth about things for himself. That ideas without action are meaningless. Do more of that. Keep the gameplay quick and simple and combo length minimal. I know you're not going to, but please. Movement speed looks good, though it already looks like there will be a bit of complication in the form of reversal edge techniques, continuing the critical edge thing, etc. You know, I enjoyed the additions in Soul Calibur V generally, but they were still unnecessary. Your systems look cool, so I can only cross my fingers and pray. Single player content has to be meaningful to some degree. It's 2018 and people will drag your game through the dirt, competitive or not, because they expect that of Soul Calibur. I don't care, but casuals carry games when they're not auto-include tournament esports titles like Street Fighter. I'm glad Guard Impact and the Meter divorced. Good call, but can you make the game fun? God, I hope so. Who knows for how long the soul still burns. KBash out. Hey, wow, thanks for sticking to the end, unlike the Soul Edge Rage Babies in the last one, and probably Soul Calibur IV Rage Babies in this one. I'm making a review of Soul Calibur 6 when it's released. It'll be in the typical KBash playlist. Thanks for watching and have a great day.